Even though I do like to keep myself busy a lot of the time, sometimes doing so many different things can be rather overwhelming. So it really helps to just stop for a bit. While I never seem to be able to completely switch off my mind, just lying down and doing nothing for a while can be very relaxing. And it's sometimes nice to just have time to contemplate things or even daydream. Contemplation is also something that I sometimes do when I go to bed at night. At this point, there are no distractions, and thus I can visualise things in my mind much more clearly. For example, I sometimes utilise this time to fantasise about certain things, such as how my life might be in different circumstances, like I didn't have to face the difficulties that come with my condition. Something that I particularly like to visualise is how certain films would turn out if I were to make them. I quite enjoy thinking about what the trailers for my films would be like.
My name is Alex Roberts, and I have a unique ability.
You are unique. There's no one else quite like you. You have a destiny.
When I go to sleep, I see the future. I see bad things happening, and I stop these things from happening before they happen. But there are some things that even I can't stop.
We need you for a special operation. We need to use your ability to stop a man.
What are you here to accuse me of this time?
I'm here to introduce you to the woman who's going to bring you down.
Maximilian Drake. So we have to keep a very close eye on you.
What's wrong?
Just a case.
Not just any case by the looks of it.
The cop will consider the future. This could pose a few problems.
So what shall we do now?
Kill him!
Why can't I see what is coming?
Every time you change something, you change everything. Even you can't see everything.
What gives you the right to mess with destiny?
What gives you the right to stop me?
Such contemplation does often mean that I have some difficulty actually getting to sleep, and when I finally do get to sleep, I often don't sleep very well, sometimes even waking up feeling more worn out than I went to bed. This is at least in part due to dreams that I frequently experience, dreams that are always quite strange and sometimes quite scary. It is often said that our dreams are the workings of our unconscious mind, processes that reflect our deepest fears and our greatest hopes, often inspired by experiences in our lives, both past and present. If this is the case, then I have some real issues in my life, as my dreams are so weird and unusual as to almost defy any explanation I could attribute to them. One thing that really strikes me about my dreams is that they just seem to defy the rules of time. When I am dreaming, I am fully aware of everything that is happening in the dream, but at the same time, I seem unaware of the passage of time. This could be due to the metaphysical nature of dreaming, or maybe it is something filtering through from my day-to-day life. If you were to see me in my day-to-day life, you might well notice that I look at my watch a lot. This constant need to know the time, however, is not due to a complete awareness of it, but rather an unawareness of time. I don't fully comprehend time. I frequently lose track of what day it is and even what time it is, occasionally even what year it is. Time is something that is very subjective and can seem to move by either slowly or quickly depending on the individual's state of mind. Thus, it is inherently something that defies logic on many levels, and thus is hard for someone like me to really get a grasp of. My main viewing time at the moment is by the release dates of films that I want to see, and even this isn't exactly a faultless measure of time, with days often blending into one another and one year melding into the next until I have completely lost track of time completely. Just like a dream, it can be rather confusing and disorientating. Fortunately, my routines do help to maintain a sense of order to an extent. It is possible that I may be overanalyzing my dreams, overanalyzing things being something that I do quite frequently, and the meanings behind my dreams could be explained simply by a single word: loneliness. There is, however, also the possibility that dreams are something we will never truly understand, and that the real meaning may be beyond my reach. Either way, just thinking about it is another headache in a life that is already full of complications, so maybe they are dreams that are best left alone. My job is just one part of my life, actually accounting for quite a small portion of my week at the moment. The rest of my time is spent on my university work, much time of which is spent at home working alone, but often I also have to go into university for meetings and seminars, etc. Having already done a bachelor's degree for creative studies, which I received a 2:1 honours for, I am now doing a master's in media practice, which is allowing me to further study my interest in film at a high level. In many ways, going to university is one of the best things I've done in my life. Just 5 years ago, I was virtually incapable of leaving the house on my own except for going to school, without being accompanied by one of my parents or someone I know. I had no confidence to go anywhere and was completely dependent upon others. Going to university allowed me to experience a degree of independence for the first time. It required me to go places on my own, and through doing this I was able to become much more confident, to the extent that I am now able to go out on my own without much difficulty. At first I had to have a taxi to take me to university, but over time even this became unnecessary, and I am now able to go by bus. This isn't to say that I am completely confident travelling by bus, however, as it can sometimes be quite daunting, particularly when a bus is late, something which I really don't like. I attend university in Bangor, North Wales. One of the reasons that I chose to study here is simply that because the place is very close, I can commute rather than actually having to live here. This is highly preferable to me, as while I have managed to become somewhat more independent, I don't yet feel ready to live alone. Also, it means that money isn't as great a pressure on me as it might be for other people, thus it spares me additional work-related stress. Of course, this wasn't the sole reason for attending Bangor University. My other reason was that they offered the perfect course for what I wanted to study. Thus attending here was logical with regard to both the location and the course being taught, logic being the trait that is fairly common in people with Asperger's, a trait that we share with the Vulcans from Star Trek. The increased independence that I now experience allows me to do things I could never have done on my own when I was younger. Something as simple as walking to the shops used to be really difficult, but now it is quite straightforward. That isn't to say it doesn't still pose some problems for me, however, as I still experience great difficulties with crowded environments. For the most part, it is easy to avoid them as I don't go to bars or clubs or other places that are typically very packed. During busy times, walking to the shops can be slightly daunting though. Usually I simply avoid going at peak times, but this isn't always possible. When I do go at busy periods however, I have ways of getting through the crowds as quickly as possible. A positive element of Asperger's is that some of my sentences are heightened slightly, and this is quite useful in what could be simply called crowd dodging. This simply means that I'm often able to weave my way through masses of people to get out of the crowd as quickly as possible. It isn't always possible to do this, of course, but whenever it is, it does at least limit my exposure to the crowded environment, just reducing my anxiety level. In addition to the course being taught and the closest at home, Bangor also has other attributes that make it an ideal university to attend. The geographical layout of the city means that a lot of walking is required to get between the university and the town, as well as between different parts of the university. This means that if you attend here, you are sure to get lots of exercise. This is particularly ideal for me, as I quite like walking. Walking is pretty much the only real exercise I get, as I do not feel comfortable with other methods of exercise that many take for granted, such as going to the gym, due to the generally public nature of such activity and the kind of environment it involves. Walking is quite sufficient for me though, and in fact I lost several stone in my first few years here alone. While I am not exactly one of the fittest people around, I have become quite accustomed to going on long walks, something which I often practice on the Great Orme, above my hometown of Llandudno. My transition to university life ran a lot more smoothly than I might have expected. Initially, I had assistance from someone to help me get around and to help me with things like note-taking, but it didn't take me too long to become self-dependent, and now I'm fully capable of doing almost anything I need to do in university all on my own. I can still get support from the disability department if and when I need to, but as much as possible I try to cope on my own. One of the reasons, I guess, that the transition went so smoothly is the people. In university, I am constantly exposed to countless other individuals, and while it was initially quite daunting, it gradually became almost pleasing to be among so many people, at least in the more relaxed university setting anyway. Here, no one judges me for being different, and over my time spent here, I have made a number of friends who have accepted me for who I am, and who actually embrace my uniqueness and everything I have to offer, which is something that has been of great benefit when I have been involved in group projects. Me and my friends have done several different things together, one of the greatest achievements being the film that we made called Reality Check. Working alongside my friends and colleagues to make a film is one of the most pleasing experiences I've had during my time at university. Often, when I am in a group of people, I feel like I'm an outcast, like someone who doesn't belong, but here, I felt like I was truly part of the team, and the experience of doing something that I loved doing with them, one of the happiest I've had in a long time. And the experience is only heightened further by the fact that I'm gaining the experience and qualifications that allow me to pursue film professionally. After all, my interest is as much professional as it is personal. Of course, university work isn't all fun and games. There is a side to being a student, a sort of loneliness and isolation that is considerably less desirable. This is particularly evident now that I am doing my master's degree. Whereas during my BA I saw all my friends all the time in the lectures and such, now most of my work is solo orientated, which means that I am on my own much more now than ever before. This is a very lonely and isolated feeling. Most of my work being in the form of scripts or essays now, with the exception of my final project for which I am making this very film. Even though I know that my hard work will be worth it in the end, I can't help but wish that I was still with my friends doing all the work that I created, rather than being on my own as I am now. My loneliness isn't just due to being away from friends, however, but also my lack of a connection of another kind.